Welcome our viewers in Nigeria and across the world. This is Lunchtime Politics, live on Channels Television. I'm Kairo Kikiru here in Lagos. First, the highlights. The Labour Party presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, asks his supporters to be calm and patriotic, even under provocation. Says he agrees with President Buhari that Nigerian youths are vibrant and intelligent. An APC chair gets an ultimatum as the National Vice Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Saliu Lukman, gives Senator Abdullahi Adamu, the National Chairman, 1 week ultimatum to convene a National Executive Committee meeting. The Kaduna State Government says no fewer than 214 persons were killed in the state as a result of terrorist attacks, communal clashes in the past 3 months. Appeals to the federal government for more security. Well, amidst the emotionally charged aftermath of the 2023 elections, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, has warned against weaponizing ethnic profiling in the country as he asks the political elite to tackle prejudices emanating from ethnic and religious biases. The Vice President also asked leaders to be conscious of the nature of Nigeria's democracy, which is diverse. He was speaking at the Maiden Policy Making and Good Governance in Nigeria lecture series at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies in Kuru, Plateau State.
These elections witnessed the exploitation by political actors of the fears and anxieties of people about so-called outsiders. Any attempt to deny people the right to vote in any locality on the basis that they do not belong in that place is condemnable in the strongest terms. Social integration is one of the highest ideals of our Constitution, which guarantees every citizen the right to traverse the length and breadth of this country without hindrance and to settle in any place of their choice. It affirms the right of all Nigerians not to be discriminated against on the basis of their identity. Above all, it holds up integration as a priority. The framers of our Constitution did not intend to create an apartheid system that distinguishes between natives and settlers, nor did they in fact create one. They sought to create a civic nation. So it is possible to conquer ethnic or religious prejudice and build a unified nation. And I think that in itself should be a rhetorical question. Can we truly conquer ethnic prejudices, religious prejudices, and build a unified nation? I think we can. But it's a journey, it's not an event.
And more calls for caution, this time from the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, who is asking his supporters and all Nigerians to show restrained patriotism and remain calm, even in the face of provocation. In a series of tweets on his official handle, the former governor of Anambra State asserted that recent events in the country, including political development in Adamawa State, underline the importance of adhering to the rule of law. In his words, President Buhari asked Nigerian youths to have faith in Nigeria and prepare for leadership roles when he signed the Not Too Young to Run Act into law. I agree with him that we have enough vibrant and intelligent Nigerian youths ready to propel Nigeria to greatness, and it is my desire and commitment to empower Nigerian youths to leadership. Yet, we must do our utmost to be calm, even under provocation. We must also not allow those bent on using any pretext to plunge our country into chaos and leave our youths without a future to succeed. He pleads with Nigerians in general to keep hope alive, saying that better and happier days are ahead. More stories now. The chairman of Elders Forum of Ohanaeze Ndigbo, Sir Emmanuel Iwuanynwu, has cleared the air about the statement attributed to him when he was allegedly accused of calling Yorubas political rascals. Well, Mr. Iwuanynwu says political leaders must work towards a united nation and avoid all forms of ethnic and religious division. Well, on the issue of zoning in the southeast state, he believes that power must be rotated to make everyone have a sense of belonging.
I didn't say Yorubas are political rascals. I said that those who are beating them up, they shouldn't bother. They should stay in Lagos. They are political rascals. If anybody can go to this is very bad. So if you're a political leader, you must avoid this situation. For example, even the government. So what I'm saying is that thing was fake. I didn't say that. Somebody went and joined a speech. I don't know how they do it. I'm grateful to one senator, the senator from Kaduna State. He was the first person who brought up this matter in his statement. He says that if you listen to the speech after Yorubas you will see some sound. That means they gave the speech somewhere. In our culture as Igbos, Igbos are Republicans, but in our culture, even in the village, we like to do things by zoning. We don't want a situation where one group grab everything. We want things to be done by zoning so that everybody will have a sense of belonging, will feel happy. Already, the governor is from Olu, and then it's 2 terms to every group. And Olu has benefited so much. So it was the view of everybody, since Olu has already spent 4 years. If Olu cannot complete the 4 years, then it means the next group can come.
Well, now to party politics. The National Vice Chairman of the All Progressives Congress Northwest, Mr. Saliu Lukman, has given the party's national chairman, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, a 1-week ultimatum to convene a National Executive Committee meeting, that's a NEC meeting. Well, he made the demand in an open letter to Senator Abdullahi Adamu titled Restoring Constitutional Order in APC Not Negotiable, which he says is aimed at returning the party to its foundation. A part of a statement reads, "By this open letter, I am serving you notice of 1 week from today, being Wednesday, April the 19th, to take all the appropriate steps required to convene a NEC meeting wherein all of the issues bordering on the management of smooth transition between the outgoing government of President Buhari and the incoming government of President Asiwaju Tinubu can be considered." He goes on to say, if by the end of this 1-week notice, no action is taken to convene a NEC meeting as a first step to restore constitutional order in the APC, I will not hesitate to take further actions, including approaching our courts to enforce compliance with the provisions of our party's constitution under your leadership. Let's now bring you more stories. This one is coming from the State House, where the federal government has been speaking on the outcome of the Adamawa governorship election. The federal government has broken its silence on that election, particularly the action of the suspended resident electoral commissioner for the state, Malam Hudu Yunusa Ari, after he illegally announced the result of a state governorship election. The Minister of Information and Culture, Mr. Lai Mohammed, says that the responsibility to deal with the premature announcement rests solely with INEC. But Mr. Mohammed told State House correspondents after the Federal Executive Council meeting that the president has never intervened in the way INEC conducts its elections as well.
The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, again sits in for the President, who is now back into the country as he chairs the Federal Executive Council meeting at the Chamber. The briefing after the meeting provides an opportunity for the media to clear the air on the President's position on the Adamawa state election debacle, especially the action of the state's resident electoral commissioner.
I don't think this government has ever intervened in the way the independent National Electoral Commission, conducts its elections. So there was no need for us to intervene. It was entirely an INEC matter, and INEC handled it. The chairman of INEC is in charge of all employees of INEC and is handling it. So what want the government to do? And if president needs to take action, he will so do.
Again, the information minister explains why he accused the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, of committing treason. He states that if his running mate had called for insurrection and he did not react, he would equally be guilty as charged.
Yes, I went to the US to balance the skewed reports about the just concluded elections. I said, Mr. Peter Obi has every right to seek redress in court, like Labour Party, but nobody has the right to call for insurrection or to threaten to say that if the president-elect is sworn in, that will be the end of democracy. And that was precisely what the running mate of Mr. Peter Obi said. For anybody to say that if a duly elected president in Nigeria is sworn in, that will be the end of democracy. It's treason. For anybody to say if you swear in a duly elected president, you are swearing the military. It's treason.
Meanwhile, the Federal Executive Council gave a 3.44 billion naira approval for the procurement of surveillance caravan aircraft by the Nigeria Customs Service, primarily to combat smuggling and intelligence gathering across the nation's borders. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
For more on the Adamawa outcome, the Independent National Electoral Commission says allegations by one of the candidates in that governorship election that its national commissioners were deployed to the Adamawa governorship supplementary election to undermine the process is untrue. A statement by the electoral body says that such deployment is a standard policy and practice, where even recs and staff from the headquarters or neighboring states are sent for such assignments where necessary. The statement adds that the deployment had no ill intentions, nor was it meant to undermine anyone, as alleged, stating that in all other states, the recs worked cooperatively with the national commissioners except Adamawa State for reasons that are now obvious to all. The commission describes the insinuation as a claptrap, which should be disregarded. So let's bring you the big conversation for today. It looks like the political parties have their fair share of internal issues at this point, from the ruling APC, as you may have seen earlier on, to the Labour Party, and in fact, the People's Democratic Party, PDP. And that's where we're going to right now. Because yesterday, the party on its official Twitter handle put out a disclaimer that got a lot of Nigerians talking. Well, take a look at that tweet. The party stated that Mr. Anthony Ehilebo is not the head of PDP new or social media, and the position is non-existent in the managerial structure of the party. In fact, the party went on to say that he does not hold any official position at any level of the party's administration and cannot speak for or represent the PDP in any official capacity. And this, the party says, was necessary in light of what it called misrepresentation in some sections of the media. Now, there have been several reactions to that, especially because 3 years ago, the same handle recognized him as holding an official position in the party. There's a tweet to that effect that speaks to that. It was during the previous election where the party actually, exactly, you see that tweet referring to him as director of new media for the PDP. So what exactly is going on within the PDP, particularly regarding Mr. Anthony Ehilebo and the designation generally? Well, let's speak with the man in the eye of a storm to get his reaction. Anthony Ehilebo joins us from our Abuja studio this afternoon. Well, he is a member of the PDP, at least that we are sure of. Thank you for joining us on the program, Mr. Ehilebo.
Thank you very much, Kayode.
Well, I mean, this is trending on social media, on and off social media, I should say. Some have described this as ice-cold breakfast. Some say you've been thrown under the bus. Some say, well, it wasn't like you maybe referred to yourself as that anyway in recent times. But tell us, what exactly are we seeing playing out here?
I woke up and saw the same message yesterday, but it wasn't like I wasn't expecting it. we had decided, and to set the record straight, I was head of new media under Mr. Kola Ologbodiyan, and I ran the 2019 presidential campaign as the head of new media. Currently, I don't think the party has that designation or anybody that. The last person after me was Emmanuel Umeke, and before me we had Mr. Deji Adeyonju, who was then head of new media. I woke up to see that publication, and I didn't even tweet that particular. I've not responded officially, but I'm more concerned about the context of the party saying it doesn't have a social media or digital media unit. When this conversation, I don't think I need to introduce myself to you, Kayode. I've been on several shows speaking for the political party called PDP. If at this point in time, somewhere within the communications apparatchik, some people have decided to use the party official handles to create mischief, forgetting that same official handle in 2020 had acknowledged that position, and in 2019 as well. But I'm done with that tenure. I don't think in the last 3 years I've used that appellation. I've gone on to serve the party in different capacities, both as a member on the presidential campaign. I was a member of the presidential campaign at the national. I was a member of the state's presidential campaign and the state campaign at the state level in Edo State. And in my local government, I have made over 597 appearances for the political party called PDP. And to no credit, I'm very grateful to the Nigerian people who came out yesterday and made the several comments that you are now relating to. In regards to these statements, one wonders whether whoever put it out had thought it through and considered the fact that some of us do these things because we believe in the political party PDP. It's a storm in the teacup for me. If I've, over the last couple of years, stood up to the government of APC and all their misgovernance and everything, and all the pressure has come from them and I have not yielded, what is a common press statement from a handle that has previously acknowledged my history? And by the way, as head of new media, most of the content I created for the PDP belong to me. So if these are non-issues as far as I'm concerned. I think when I come on a prestigious program such as yours, we should be talking about the issues that Nigeria currently has. The political party PDP is meant to serve the interest of Nigerians, not the interest of anybody. If you trace back why this is happening, I think 2-3 days ago, a group which I mentor, young people, called the Young Democrats in PDP, who fancy themselves as a Tea Party, a group of people within the PDP who want the best for the party and in extension, the best for the country. Prior to 1999, those who initially framed and formed the political party PDP had the intention of taking power from the military and handing it over to the people of Nigeria. That is why it is the People's Democratic Party. It is no surprise that down the line, some people have misunderstood the ethos of the party and have carried on in a manner that some of us do not align with. Post the election of 2023, I know that we're still in the presidential election tribunal, but it is very important to some of us that we take a break and assess what really went wrong. What were the issues that we had during the pre-2023 general election and just immediately after it, so that we can, that post-mortem, as we did in the follow-up to the 2015 election when we had the Ekweremadu report that looked into the party and made provision. PDP is a constantly evolving party. I think that we've not done well to tell our story to Nigerians because post-2015, we've had several reforms. We had the Ekweremadu report, we had the constitutional review, we had the national conference, we had the Jerry Ghana review committee. All these committees made substantial reforms to the political party PDP. And you know, in life, you don't stop growing. I'll go back to the press statement and what really bothered me about it, regardless that my name was mentioned, regardless that I was maligned, and this is a party that several times and even now I will continue to speak for. Right. But that doesn't come without a request. That if a political party, and I've given them a timeline, that if leaders of the party have seen this action by whoever whoever is in the administrative office, because it wasn't signed by the National Publicity. I want to remove the NWC. I've spoken to my state chairman. I've spoken to my LGA chairman of the party. And I have gotten their blessings that I'm one of the upstanding members of this party. I have never done anti-party. I have never disparaged the party in public space. But because we ask for the right thing to be done in a political party, which includes and not limited to calling on the National Secretary, Sam Iwuanynwu, to resign and go and face his gubernatorial ambition in Imo State. If that is the reason why all of this is coming up, and they should get ready, because I'm not going to relent. Right. The people I represent will not relent, because we want
Mr.
an
Ehilebo,
upstanding party. Look at
what
is happening in the APC.
Right, let me come in here, Mr. Ehilebo.
There are a lot of people...
Pardon me, let me come in here, because, I mean, just to put it in context, that statement was signed by National Director of Publicity, PDP, Chinwe Norum, for the NPS. So I imagine that's the National Publicity Secretary. That's, who signed that statement. But, this touches at a very, very fundamental issue, which we saw play out in the build-up to this election, and, of course, we'll see playing out afterwards. And that's the participation of young people in politics. As I said, there have been several reactions to this one. And I recall that at some point, I think the presidential candidate of your party, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, had put up a tweet mentioning you, commending you for the work you had done. So it looked like, to that extent, at least, you have a relationship with the campaign council, the presidential campaign council of your party. But take a look at other, reactions from young people across party lines. And you have Tolu Ogulesi. A lot of people will know Tolu Ogulesi, who is a presidential aide on social media as well. And this is what he had to say about that particular tweet from your party, saying that the PDP is a really interesting party. Looks like the anti-Atiku faction is now fully in charge of the Twitter handle. That's a tweet from Tolu Ogulesi. If you could just pull that up for our viewers to see right there. So, Anthony, there have been several reactions. There's this one also from Indy. You know Indy Kato. You guys were in the PDP together before she moved to the Labour Party. And, she was saying that PDP should know how to manage people. There you see that one, that a party in opposition cannot treat its members in such manner, saying that this is a shame and exposes why many young people have left the party. And my question for you is, do you feel betrayed to be aired out in such manner after your rigorous campaigning for the party? A lot of people will have seen you on social media, speaking for your party, tackling other, supporters of different political parties. Do you feel betrayed?
Well, I to be honest with you, Kayode, I'm totally, not to talk about the damage to my professional self. I'm a lawyer and I'm a media consultant. I have not used that appellation in the last 3 years. So I wonder why, if not an intentional attack on my person, anybody would release that sort of statement. But you see, they intended to cause damage to me and inadvertently have done spurious damage to themselves. Go and look at the post. All the comments. You're supposed to make a post on social media or make a post in the news and carry an effect of people supporting it. But this is the negative that we have from this. And again, I will go back to the fact that young people, by that statement, have been one hand swept under the carpet as if they don't even have any place to fall under in the PDP. But I know that there are very resilient people in the political party called PDP. I know that this is a storm in the teacup, not something that one should be, I'm really worried about, but I'm more concerned about the party retracting that particular statement because I was the head of new media under Kola Ologbojo, and anybody that refused that part, there's hard evidence to go out, and like he published, they actually even put it on that same handle. But the case here, it should not be personal. We should look at how they have decided to wish away a very critical part of communication, which is digital communication and the whole digital world, as it applies to them passing their message and endearing themselves to young people. We know that, I know that I don't lack the support of young people across the country. I know that my integrity is still intact, but I'm more worried about the perception of the party. I'm worried about that people are not even thinking that instead of disciplining people who have gone against the party, done anti-party, made our efforts in the party look like a waste. You are encouraging them, you are bringing them back, and then those that you think are people who cannot even raise a fly or raise a storm in the teacup, you are now deciding to use them as victims because they have spoken up against some. I mean, what is wrong in telling someone that is going for an election that you cannot handle these two positions? We know this.
Right.
We know that these are the consequences of that. If you don't go and focus on your election, let me say something. There are people that we have seen fail somehow in their elections because they had an alternative job, perhaps on the campaign. I'm speaking in 2019 in regards to someone like Senator Saraki. I think his major distraction in 2019 that he was the DG of the campaign. So we're saying, and I have campaigned, I have been an aspirant as well. I know what the responsibilities are on an aspirant. And that's why we said, look, if you are the secretary of the party, remain as secretary of the party. If you want to contest as the gubernatorial candidate of the PDP in Imo State, go back and do that. So that's essentially
where you suspect this is coming from, Mr. Ehilebo. But would like to thank you so much for shedding light on this. A lot of young people,
no problem. Thank you very much.
Young people are invested in this one. We're speaking with Mr. Anthony Ehilebo, who would simply like to be referred to now as a member of a PDP. So clearly you're not leaving the party. Thank you so much for your time. Well, let's talk security now. It's quite a sad development playing out in Kaduna State as the state government says that no fewer than 214 persons were killed as a result of attacks by terrorists, communal clashes, and reprisals across the state in the first quarter of this year. That's from January to March. And this was disclosed by the State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Mr. Samuel Iwuanynwu, in the first quarter 2023 security report presented to the State Council. He explains that 196 males, 14 females, and 4 minors were killed, while 746 citizens were kidnapped during the period under review. Governor Nasir El-Rufai, who received the report, appealed to the federal government to escalate security operations across the 7 frontline states of the Northwest and Niger states. Well, on that sad note, we wrap it up on Lunchtime Politics for today. Thank you so much for joining us. You can catch up with all of your political stories and so much more on our website, channelstv.com, and across all our social media platforms where you see right there on your screen. Well, you've been served. I'm Kayode Okikere. Thank you for watching again. Goodbye.